Welcome to another episode of the S.E.M podcast. Jack Bryce here again, and today I'm joined by Cristian Mannino. How are you doing, Cristian?
I'm doing well, thanks, Jack.
Where are you calling from today?
Well, I'm in Germany because I've been here for the last 6 years, but I'm originally from Italy.
Excellent. I'm excited for this interview. I actually, you're one of the missionaries that I heard of coming in just after you left, basically, but you're legendary. So no pressure, but I'm excited to hear about your experience. So we'll start with leading up to Scotland, how you found out or decided to go on a mission, found out you're going to Scotland, anything kind of leading up to the mission, and then we'll skip over the mission because we want to know what you've been up to since you've been home.
Sure.
And then we'll go back and reminisce for a while. So start us out with, how did you end up as a missionary in Scotland?
That's a good question. Well, I think when I was 14 or 15, I started to feel a desire to serve, at least to prepare myself to go on a mission. But it was only when I finished high school in 2001 that I really felt like I had to make the choice. And I'm the fifth son of a family with 6 children. And unfortunately, in the last year of my high school, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. And so it was a tough time for her, it was a tough time for my family. Most of my brothers and sisters were not attending the church at that time. So I had a lot of questions. And one of the questions was like, what is my real mission? Should I go and, fulfill this important priesthood responsibility, or shall I stay and help and support my family? And when I finished high school, we as family, we went camping, and I remember one day my mom approached me, and I didn't say anything to her. I did not vocalize my concerns, but she came to me and she said to me, "Cristian, you can go." And for me, that was very, very, very special. She could read my heart, and I did go. And when I left, my mom was the only person at the airport that was smiling.
Oh,
All
wow.
of us, including myself, we were, with tears, but she was the only one that was smiling. For me, that was very, very, very important. So yes, the call to Scotland was very unexpected. I didn't know much about this country before. My English was very limited, basically school English. And I remember when I received the call, I opened the letter and I was like, Scotland, what type of country is this? I mean, I knew something about Scotland, like Edinburgh, the capital city, but at that time didn't have internet. So I picked one of the volumes of the books of my parents' encyclopedia, and this paper, big books. Yeah. And I read a little bit about Scotland and Edinburgh, and I was the first one of my family to go on a mission. Despite the fact that I'm the youngest of the 4 sons. So I really didn't know what to expect during a mission. At that time, I'm from Sicily, I'm from Italy. I'm from the same place where Elder Aurelio is from, and I believe he did one of the podcasts.
Yep.
And at that time, we didn't have a stake, we just had a district. So not many young adults had left for a mission. We had some, but not too many. So anyway, it was a totally new world for me, but I'm glad that I made the choice and that I had the opportunity to serve. And perhaps I will talk a little about some of the experiences, but it was a beautiful learning experience for me.
Great. And what was the timing of your mission? When did you leave and come back?
So I left in November 2001, and I returned in December 2003.
Okay, great. So take us to December 2003. You got home. What have you been up to since in the last 20 years?
I know
I believe it's been that long.
I know, 20 years. It's a long time. Well, again, my first thought was my mom. Everybody came to the airport but her. So when I noticed that, I was like, I want to go home. I want to see her. And when I saw her, it was clear to me that she would not stay with us much longer. So I decided to stay home with my parents. At that time, all my brothers and sisters left home, and I started university in Palermo. I studied international relations, and I got my bachelor's degree in Palermo for the first 3 years. In Italy, the bachelor's degree is 3 years. My mom passed away the year after in November, so we were able to stay together for 11 months, and that was very important to me.
Yeah.
But after that, I went to Trento, which is a city in the north of Italy. And I did a master's degree in international relations. And the master's degree was 2 years. The first year was in Trento. The second year was in France, in Aix-en-Provence, Université d'Aix-en-Provence and Marseille. And France is the place where I met my wife Wen. Wen is from China, and we met in September 2007, and we got married in June 2008. We got married in France. I was still a university student, and some of my brothers thought I was crazy, but I don't regret the choice. We've been married for 15 years. We've been blessed with 2 children. My oldest is Lucia. She's almost 14, and my youngest is Joshua. He's 10. And in terms of work, after university studies, I did an internship at the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I did not like the state center national interest approach of diplomacy, and more like for international cooperation, this type of thing. So I abandoned the idea of engaging myself in diplomacy, and I work for a consulting firm specialized in international projects, international cooperation. Then I also started my own business in the management consulting for about 7 years, and that went very well. And that was basically in Italy. And then 6 years ago, a bit more than 6 years ago, I was hired by the Europe Central Area Office, based in Frankfurt, Germany. And first I worked for the Finance and Records Department. And just this year, beginning of this year, I joined the Family History Department, and I work for the experience team for the Family History Department. It's something that I really, really like. I'm very passionate about, and so I'm very, very grateful for it.
Great. So that your employer now is the church?
Yes, I work for the area, the Europe Central area.
Very cool. And sorry, I missed it. How long you been in Germany now?
6 years, a bit more.
6 years. That's great. And nice little family as well. Wonderful. That sounds like a busy 20 years for sure, as I think it has been for most of us, but that's great. Yeah. All right. Well, let's go back then to November 2001, and we start at the MTC or Scotland, wherever you want. We'll kind of walk through areas, companions, and whatever you really want to talk about. It's up to you, Cristian.
Well, first of all, thank you for giving us the opportunity to really, go back and search. And some memories are always there, no matter what. But there are so many things that I'm sure that all of us, as we go through this exercise, we discover or rediscover. And so I had the opportunity in the last few days to look into my journals and to see some pictures. I have some of them here right now in front of me, and these are great memories. And as you said before, 20 years, wow! Time goes fast. So it's great what you're doing, because it preserves memories and preserves connections. So I'm very grateful for that. And I also been grateful for the opportunity of listening to other podcasts. I think been very inspiring. So, well, I for the first 2 months, I went to the MTC in Provo, Utah. I think I was one of the last missionaries that actually went there, because I think
Yeah.
most of those who served from 2000 2001, they went to Preston. But anyway, I went there. I'm grateful for that, because in the first 2 months, I was able to shape my English and improve it. I remember some of the MTC teachers, they were like, "Oh well, don't worry about too much about American accent, because you're going to speak and learn another language." And I could not understand what they're saying. I mean, meaning, I was like, I mean, another language? But yes, and you know what I mean.
Yep. Yep.
And so um, MTC was good. It was great for me, again, coming from a small district, to see the strength of the church. That was a building experience for me. And of course, the MTC was also during Christmas, so I got to see all the nice celebrations there, and to experience also the visits from apostles and church leaders, and I think that was a great experience. So
Yeah.
I arrived in Scotland at the end of January 2002, and I remember it was a wet day. I think it was Elder Bartle, a senior missionary, who came to pick me up. All the other missionaries basically were coming from the Preston MTC, and I remember I arrived. I missed the morning meetings because, of course, mine was an international flight. I didn't get to see, all the welcoming speech and all these things. I remember coming straight from the plane, jet lag, feeling not well, and basically everybody was already seated around these big tables, and the food was ready, and I was invited, of course, to join the meal, and ate. And it was like 1:30, 2:00. I think they waited for me because they knew I was coming. And then we took our stuff, and then went to Isco Bride. Elder Stanworth was my trainer from the US. And when we arrived in Isco Bride, we had all these luggages, and I had to go to the apartment, and then we had a dinner appointment at 5. Now,
Oh man.
you know that in Italy, well, many Mediterranean countries like Spain, Italy, Greece, we don't have dinner that early. It's like 5, 6 o'clock is usually when you are in the hospital, and you are sick, and you need to be at bed by 7 o'clock. We have dinner like 8, 9 o'clock. So, and for me, again, coming from the States, I was so tired. Anyway, I remember we even took a taxi, because otherwise we would be late to the appointment. And that was my first day. Really, I was quite sick, I have to say, and I could not eat. It was like this sister, bless her, she prepared like a green soup, I think with some speck or something, I don't know. And I said to her, do you really mind if I don't eat it? Because I don't feel like I can eat it. And this sister, ever since, she invited another sister. Her name is Angela, and they always prepare a meal for us. I mean, again, this is amazing. This is one of the blessings. They always make sure they would prepare a meal that somehow we will find tasty and whatever. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a picky guy, and I appreciate anything. But to me, that was like a testimony that you need to be yourself, you need to be honest, and that establish a connection with this family. And yeah, so the first day was quite shocking, coming from the States, and totally
Yeah.
new language.
Did you go up Pratt's Hill?
I don't think I went to Pretzel myself, no.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, that's a different start than most missionaries definitely. You're the first one we've talked to that went to the Provo MTC and then came back, international. I can't imagine most of us went through that shock at the MTC, dealing with the time change and everything, but hitting it day one, man, that would be rough.
It was. And then after this dinner appointment, we had a church activity. It was like young men, young women. The missionaries, we were invited to go there. And I remember there was some refreshment, and there were, like, I come from the south of Italy where it's a very, we have a lot of fresh foods, including fruits. Okay, so if I want an orange juice, I make it myself with the orange. Same thing with lemon,
Yeah.
But I remember there was this drink, and it was a concentrated, I can't remember whatever fruit juice was it. So I put it on my glass and start drinking all of it all at once. And one of the members there was like, "Elder, I think this is concentrated. You had to to mix it with water." I was like, "Really?" Okay. Anyway, just to give you like a perception of how I felt the first few days. Language, new world. Of course, I was the only Italian missionary at that time. I think Elder Malara, we met each other when I came. He was leaving. So, and anyway, talking more about spiritual things. Elder Stanworth, he was very patient with me. We surely had some communication challenges at that time. I was new to this world, but it was also new to me to spend time with somebody who was not English speaker. And but one thing that I remember, for which I'm very grateful, is actually the very, very first missionary experience we had together, which was the day after that I just described. So basically, we were about to leave the apartment, and he said, "Elder Mannino, let's kneel down and pray, and then you will point in the map the area where we're going to do chopping and knocking doors." And my natural man reaction was like, "Oh, well, here we go, my trainer wants to teach me, a life-changing experience or something like that." But the spiritual man prevailed, and we knelt down, we pray. I think he asked me to offer the prayer, which I did. And as I said, he asked me to point in the map where we should go to knock doors. And I remember that I point an area which was green. I said, "Okay, let's go here, green, I want to see." And lo and behold, we knocked the first two doors, no one answers. The third door, this wonderful lady, her name is Helen Smith. She opened the door. After a short door discussion, she let us in. And Elder Stanworth, he taught the entire lesson. I was not, even if I did 2 months of training at the MTC, I didn't feel comfortable.
Sure.
And I told him, I said, "Look, if we teach someone, you just go ahead. You do all the teaching, And at the end, he was about to finish, and I said, "Well, Elder Stanworth, wait a second. I would like just to share my testimony. That's something that I had practiced and I felt a little bit comfortable." So I did that, and then we left, and I spent 3 months with Elder Stanworth, and we could not get back to Sister Smith. But once Elder Stanworth left, Elder Nine took his place, and I spent 6 weeks with Elder Nine, a great, sweet missionary. And I told him, "Look, we met this person and we lost contact with her. We just had a discussion, but I really feel we should come back and try." So we did, and we established a connection with her. And I think it took about 6 full months. 6 months later, I received a letter with no name. It was so weird. At that time, I was in Bathgate, and the letter was signed all at the end. And in the letter, you could read something like, Elder Mannino, I'm sure you're pleased to know that I'm being baptized. And she told me all the story, what happened after we found her again. And so, going back to what I said to Elder Stanworth, he really helped me to understand what is the meaning of receiving revelation. And I'm grateful that he has been my trainer, because I think that is a divine principle that has helped me during the mission, but also for other things in my life.
Awesome.
And yes, so Elder Stanworth first 3 months, Isco Bride, then Elder 9, 6 weeks. We also had other teaching experiences, both with Elder Stanworth and Elder 9. Then I was called to go to the Isle of Lewis, one of the 3 islands, Stornoway. My first companion was Elder Howe. And this was the first time that I became senior companion. And I remember how he had a big smile. I mean, honestly, it starts from one ear to the other ear.
Did you train Elder Howe?
No. I think it was his trainer was Elder Miller.
He was an assistant when I came into the mission. So
okay.
Elder Howe.
Elder Howe. Great guy. And we spent 6 weeks together. He was a little bit homesick at the beginning of his mission, but I think he recovered quite well.
Yeah.
And of course, the Isle of Lewis during the summertime was wonderful. I mean, I know that some missions have served them during the winter, but for me, it was like one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. Like even the landscapes and the sea. You know, there is the chapel is just in front of the sea coast. It's such a beautiful place and so green. It's the only place in my life where basically I saw whales jumping out in the water, and you know, it's just such an amazing place. Anyway, so I was 6 weeks with Elder Howe, and I was 3 months with Elder Gilmore. And Elder Gilmore is the one that I actually trained. Even if I have to say that it was a double learning experience. Again, English is not my native language, and American or British culture is not my native culture either. So I really, with all my companions, it has always been an exchange. I could do something and they could do something else. And, you know, we would try to work together to give our best to offer to the Lord and to the people he asked us to serve. But with Elder Gilmore, I think we started with Elder Howe. We started teaching a brother called Brendan McLeod. And actually, this brother passed away a few months ago in a tragic accident. But he basically had the same age. We were the same age. And we had a very good experience there. Many missions trying to teach him. And they did teach him, but he did not make progress. And his mother had to go to the States to spend some time with her future husband and to make preparations for the wedding. I think Brendan's parents were divorced, and his dad was not a member, and the mom was just a recent convert. But basically, when she left, she was like, "Hey guys, I'm going away for 6-7 weeks. I can't remember how long she said." And she said, "Can you, spend some time with Brendan from time to time?" And yeah, we were like, sure. So the first day that we met with him, when his mom went to the States, I don't remember all the technical words, but there was something, at least in my time, when it's not called a teaching pattern. There was something like a baptism invitation pattern. I can't remember.
A commitment pattern.
Is it called?
I think so. It's like
Yeah.
build a relationship of trust, and then
No, but there was something that one of the counselors in the mission presidency, he gave to us. It was like 3-4 steps, like 2 or 3 things you can say, and perhaps 1 or 2 scriptures you can read to extend the baptism invitation. And usually the suggestion was like, set the baptism within the baptism goal within like 1 week or so. But we felt like to give him like as a goal, a 6 weeks period. We said, well, let's work together. Let's set something you feel comfortable. Is it okay to we set a goal in 6 weeks? And if you don't, if you don't feel comfortable, perhaps we can review it. And lo and behold, he kept that commitment. So, and it was just like the week after his mother would come back. So when his mom came back, she was like, "Hey guys, how did you do it? How did you do what?" And she could not believe like this big change took place. And honestly, that was a great thing. And I also have to say that me personally, I remember the month of August 2002. I had some very good, real interview with President Wilkinson. That he was the mission president at that time.
Yep.
And I knew that I needed to clarify something about some of my behavior before my mission. And I opened my heart with him about certain things. And I said to myself, honesty comes first, whatever he in his priesthood authority will decide, it will be the best. And, but as I had this experience, which took place in the first week, I can't remember was the first week or the second week of August, my mission changed completely. It was, I left MTC, was November 2001. Here we are, August 2002. So I don't know, already 10 months or so. Not much success, except for some cool teaching experiences. But after opening my heart to the mission president, everything changed. The second part, from this point, my mission has been completely different in terms of teaching, in terms of baptisms, in terms of spiritual experiences, and so forth. So, I think that then in September, I was called to go to Bathgate, and I spent 6 months in Bathgate, 3 months with Elder Jensen, and 3 months with Elder Holopainen. Elder Jensen is from the States, Elder Holopainen is from Finland. I think they were both a little bit older than me. We served together as zone leaders. And so I don't think you may have met them. But Elder Jensen was a very fun guy. He loved, I think he still does, he loved Superman. He had this like shirts, Superman shirts, and anyway, he had a lot of things about Superman. We had some good teaching experiences, and we found a man. His name is Gerald McGrorty from Bathgate. I think some missionaries came in touch with him for years after that. But anyway, we're still in contact with Gerald. And we found him during street contacting, which was one of the things that I enjoy most during my mission. I didn't like knocking doors that much. I always felt was a little bit pushy. But stopping people in the street where people could see me and I could see them, you can give them a few seconds to try to, see you and see if they like to talk with you, whatever. I love street contacting. I really do. I did, and I still think I like it. In the family history department where I work now, we organize events and book fairs and things like this. And I do stop people from time to time, and I still love it. I think I love it. I really like it. Anyway,
that's great.
So that was the way we found him. And Gerald, he is, I think, the only guy that he came to France when I got married with my wife. And
wow.
so he also came to Sicily to visit me a few times, and we're still in touch. So great experience.
That's very cool.
Yeah, yes, he's a good guy. He's not very strong in the church right now, but we have a good relationship, and I appreciate that. What else? Helder Holopainen. Helder Holopainen was he had a very nice, dry sense of humor. I don't know if you know anyone from Finland, but some of the people from there, they have this dry sense of humor, and I really love it. I mean, honestly, he probably we have worked together very, very well. Perhaps with him, I achieved the best results in terms of teaching, and we had some success also in bringing some one family to the church. And yeah, it was great working together. And I'm still in touch with him, even if not in a way that I'm not as close as we used to be during the mission. But again, I have great memories of him. Then after this 6 months in Bathgate, I went to the office, and that was in March 2003 in Edinburgh. And my companion was Elder Wiggins. He was older than me. We served together for, it was one transfer plus 3 months. And because Elder and Sister Vriens were about to come at the end of June, beginning of July, President Wilkinson thought to call another assistant, and he called Elder Anderson. So we were 3 of us together at the same time. But I believe that someone from the area presidency basically advised President Wilkinson not to do that. So after that, Elder Anderson arrived. That was mid of June. I checked the date this morning in my journal. One of the 3 of us needed to go back to the field. And to be honest, I thought that was going to be the one, because Elder Wiggins, he had more experience, you know. And President Wilkinson, he called us one day and was like, I pray about, and Elder Wiggins is going back, and you, Elder Mannino, you will stay with Elder Anderson. And I cried. I really did. I was like, said, why? You know, I'm not, I didn't feel that to be the most qualified. And also, to be honest, I'm a type of person that I like more interacting with people, like face-to-face work, rather than administration of work and office work and things like this. But I guess that, you know, we need to humble ourselves and do whatever the Lord inspires his servants to do. And so, yes, Elder Anderson and I, we spent the following almost 4.5 months together. When President and Sister Vriens came, I was reading this today in my journal. President Wilkinson, Sister Wilkinson, Elder Anderson, myself, we went to pick them up the airport. And one of the things I was impressed by President Vriens, he was very tall. I mean, sister, right?
Yep.
And we were able to spend a lot of time with them. I think that Elder Anderson in his podcast described very well how was our life. If you see my journal that time, I had like, my days are like one small paragraph, because we didn't have time to write journals, so we really had very limited time, and so many Zoom conferences, so many interviews, and we didn't have much time to spend proselyting, even if we did proselyte, especially during the exchanges.
Yeah.
And I have wonderful memories of President Sister Vriens. I remember that the President Wilkinson was, for me at least, was a lot about hard work work ethics. That's something that I learned from him. President Wilkinson, at least in the period we served together, for me was like more about smart work. And maybe because he was learning to be a mission president, he always asked questions. And I remember he tried to see things from different angles. And as Elder Anderson said in his podcast, he had a lot of trust in us. I mean, we planned together moves. He asked for our advice about who should serve with. And he tried to keep personal interviews and things very confidential, but he also shared with us some concerns that I think help us as a young missionaries to see ourselves with more compassion and more love. And so it was wonderful. And I also remember always a smile, both in Sister Vriens and Sister Wilkinson. They were like mothers to me. And you know what I said about my mom. For me, to have that influence is and was and still is important.
Yeah.
But anyway, with Elder Anderson, I think he mentioned about the beautiful story about Jaf. Jaf is a brother that is from Kurdistan. He was a political refugee at that time, and actually, it was Elder Spencer and myself, even before that Anderson got to Edinburgh, that we found him. And we were driving. I was driving the car, and there was this high flats near a roundabout in Edinburgh, and I said to Elder Spencer, I feel like we need to go there and do some funding there. And so we did. And we was like a 15th floor building, something like that. And we start from the top to the bottom. And Jaff, I think, was the 4th floor, perhaps the 5th. And there were 3 apartments, I think, in each floor. So we knocked a lot of doors. Before we found him, and he was about to leave to go. So we had a very short door discussion about the Book of Mormon. And he invited us to come back another time, and we did. I think the first time I came back was with Elder Wiggins. But then it was with Elder Anderson that we started teaching him. And as Elder Anderson said, at one point, Jeff had to go back to his family. That was mid-July. And he came back in September. And at that time, the only way we could keep in touch was through fax, telefax.
Huh.
No post services. And the things were difficult for him because he was a political refugee. So I think he tried to go back through I don't know if it was the Iran borders, but it was not through Baghdad, and
yeah.
Anyway, so Jeff came back in September, and we were able to teach him, and he was baptized in October, and he went back to his family after that. And after my mission, I was able to keep in touch with him, and I tried through several area presidency to really send books to him or church materials. Internet was not that strong still at that time, but it was only in 2019 that Elder Benna went to Kurdistan. Like the church was organized there around 2016, something like that. But it was only in 2019 that Elder Benna went to Kurdistan. And as far as I understand, he dedicated the land. And LDS Charities was introduced to Kurdistan with some senior missionaries in a couple of locations. And Elder Anderson and I, we went to Kurdistan in March 2019 together. So that was, I think, super cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. He mentioned that in his podcast, of course, but you were the one who maintained the contact with him through those years, right? Been able to maintain contact?
Yes. I mean, there were times in which we were a bit closer than others, but I still have here, like, this is, I think, this is Jeff baptism record certificate, you know.
Oh wow.
Well, I kept a copy. I don't think this is the original. I hope I didn't take the original. Maybe it's the original. I don't know.
No, it's a full sheet, right? And I think the originals are half page. So
Yeah. And then I have here Jeff. He sent me a fax. That was 2004. That was after my mission. And as I said, it was hard to keep in touch because we had to use a fax for some season, and then emails, and then. But anyway, so it was great to go there with Elder Anderson. And now the church is growing there. You know, there are a couple branches, and you never know. You know, this is one of those things that you really, as a young missionary, I would never have imagined that such thing would have taken place. I remember, and Elder Anderson, he mentioned this in his podcast, that I promised Jeff that one day we will go there and help him to establish the church in his country. But actually, when the time came to do that, boy, I tell you, Kurdistan is safer than many other Middle East countries. Even if Kurdistan is not a country itself, it's just the northern part of Iraq, but it's like more an independent region.
yeah,
But to go there and to do a trip like a friendly private trip is something that has required, I think, some courage both from Elder Anderson and myself. But it's something we have loved, and so I'm very grateful for it.
yeah, that's really unique and really quite cool what you guys have been able to do there. To be able to visit. That's all those years later and see the fruits of your labor. Like that's not an opportunity that many of us have, even if it's just going back to Scotland to visit. So being able to see that and how it's spread now internationally, that's really quite cool.
Yeah. So, and to end the mission, the last 6 weeks, President Vriens approached me and was like, "Okay, Elder Mannino, where would you like to go and who would you like to serve with?" That was like, again, you know, that tells you the type of relationship we had with him. Honestly, he was like a father. He was a person that really trusts you. And so I prayed about, and I felt that I should serve with Elder Newman from England. So Elder Holopainen, Elder Anderson, and Elder Newman are the European missionaries I serve with. Even if now I say somebody from England, European, I don't know if they like it, especially now after Brexit. I don't know. It's continental Europe. Well,
that's right.
Continent. But anyway, it was great to serve with Elder Newman. I remember that President Vriens asked me, like, what is your goal for these final 6 weeks? And I told him that my goal was going to be to have 2 convert baptisms. And at that time, we had a rule I don't know if President Vriens kept that rule later, but the rule was that you needed the friend of the church needed to go to the church at least 3 times before they could be baptized.
Yep.
And so I knew that in order to achieve that goal, I needed to find people. We whitewashed Cumbernauld, and I knew that we needed to, Elder New and myself, we needed to really find someone within the first 2-3 weeks. And we did find these people with the first 3 weeks. We found Bob Waters, again, strict contacting, a wonderful man that eventually went to the temple and he died in the gospel, in the covenant. And Hazel, I think that's her name, Hazel, yeah. And Hazel was like a child of a part member family. I think think she lived with her mom, but her dad was not there. I don't know what happened, but anyway. And yes, and
I think I met both of them.
Oh yeah.
I served in Cumbernauld probably 6 months after you went home,
Okay,
and so
that's great. Okay,
yeah,
that's excellent. And how did you like Cumbernauld?
it was a unique experience, that's for sure. Not something that I would experience in normal life in any way. So being there as a missionary, I think that's the way to be in Cumbernauld.
You know, well, yeah. That Cumbernauld didn't have like such a great reputation. It's one of these few places after all the traveling and things I'd never had been. So to go there with Elder Newman, Elder Newman was just a new missionary, and it was just faith. It was just. But and I remember one thing that I remember and very well is that we took some time about to do some good planning before we actually even started to work. We studied the area and we were like, okay, let's we know we don't have a lot of time. There is no way we're going to work with all the members. Let's focus perhaps in 2-3 areas of the city so that we use our time as best as we can.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really wonderful 6 weeks. So I think that's my mission. Again, I mean, great memories. Perhaps I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this picture here? I mean, those are these are some of my companions, and I think that we established a wonderful relationship. And I think the mission for me was like the best. I mean, my university studies were very, very serious. I mean, I studied quite well, but for me, the mission was the best master or the best training, educational training or vocational training that you could undertake. And I'm grateful not only for my companions and the wonderful people that I've been able to interact with and teach, but for all the people that have supported me even during my mission. I know there were members from my ward that I did not ask for it, but I know that they helped me to be on a mission. And I remember that during my mission, I had the best post exchanges with my mom, of course, but also with other relatives and friends. And I kept a lot of these letters, I think all of them actually. And so it was a mission time was a time in which not only the people you interacted with in the field, but also the people from home. It's a way to get to know them from a different perspective.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for this time, and again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to review this couple years and to see my life 20 years later.
It's been great. Like I said before, I'm looking forward to meeting you because you're one of the missionaries that I heard about, not just from other missionaries, but I actually knocked on doors where people said to me, "Oh, do you know Elder Mannino?" And
really?
So you had an impact as you went even door to door in Scotland, which it's impressive. And you are one of the Vriens' trainers essentially, which is pretty cool. It's pretty unique experience. And I served with Kent and Karish, who I think was in the mission home at that time as well.
That's great.
So I heard about you a little bit from him as well. And so I've really been looking forward to this, Christian. And we're united through that land, even though we weren't there physically at the same time. A piece of our spiritual existence is in Scotland. So it's been wonderful. We love you as our brother in Scotland. and glad for this time. It causes all of us to look back and reflect a little bit more on those years that had a huge impact for all of us. So thank you, and I wish you the best. We'll let you know when this is published so you can share it out with all your friends, family, former companions. We've got a few of them we still need to get on here, so you might be able to help us with that. Of course, we've had some of them, which have been really good too. So thank you.
Well, it's great to see that you are doing the podcast, but also as we were chatting just before this episode, also the YouTube channel. I think it's really nice to see our faces after 20 years. And so thank you again, and all the best. And what you're doing again is great. Thanks for preserving these wonderful memories. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Cristian.
Okay.
We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.